there. Well, right now with me I have Maria Vann. Maria is the executive director at the Iroquois Indian Museum. Did I get that right, Maria?
You got it right. Perfect.
Good. She was telling me, which I did not know, is that in Montreal or Canada, it's pronounced differently. And here it's pronounced Iroquois, and there it's Iroquois.
Iroquois.
Yeah, but for French.
Yes.
That French sound.
Originally, the people that we know as the Iroquois or Iroquois were named by the French explorers.
Right.
In fact, the people that our museum represents call themselves the Haudenosaunee people, or the people who build a longhouse.
Okay, because you do you have a longhouse there?
Our building actually is in the structure of a longhouse, which was the traditional dwelling place of Haudenosaunee or Iroquois people. And in fact, today the longhouse represents a metaphor for the Confederacy or the Union of the Six Nations.
There's Six Nations, right?
Yes.
Up there. And, you know, I remember being in school and, you know, you take New York State history and you learned all about the nations.
Yes.
Of there, which is really, there's the Mohawks and the...
The Mohawks, the Cayugas, the Tuscaroras, the Oneidas, the Onondagas, and who did I miss? Mohawks, Oneidas, Onondagas, Cayugas, Tuscaroras, and the Senecas.
That's pretty good, that you, because I couldn't remember them, although I did learn them at one time. Tell us about this big celebration that you have coming on. I've been to the Iroquois Museum, and it is a wonderful exhibit to go. I mean, you go inside, there's lots of exhibits, and we've been there when they've had the dancers and the drummers and things. So what's coming up?
Well, what's coming up for us is our 33rd annual Iroquois Indian Festival. And at the festival, the visitors will be able to come into our museum. They'll be able to see our temporary exhibit for this year, which is called Standing in Two Worlds, the Iroquois in 2014, which is made up of artists' statements this year about where, as a nation or as people, they are, and issues that are concerning them, whether that's environmental or beyond. Yep, that's the museum.
Okay, and it's like a longhouse.
It is a longhouse.
Yeah, it is a longhouse.
And you can see we also have a beautiful Three Sisters garden outside as well. But in addition to the temporary exhibit this year, visitors will be able to walk our 45-acre nature park. They'll be able to see a Indian market and purchase things from there. So we have traditional and contemporary art brought by all different artists from around the different reserves.
So you'll have beaded things and woven and silver probably too, because a lot of silver is being done by the Native Americans.
Yeah, we have silver work. Traditionally, more of the Iroquois people didn't do as much silver work. Southwest, but we do have some silver work, beadwork, as well as pottery, basketry. The Iroquois are known for being, especially the Mohawks, expert basket makers. So there'll be an Indian market. We'll also have a nature rehabilitator on site with some birds of prey, like hawks and things like that. We'll have a children's area where children can
it's a festival.
Oh, it's a festival. We have a good old time. And most importantly, everyone can come and dance. We have the Sky dancers coming from the Six Nations Reserve up in Canada. And they will be doing traditional social dance, which, you know, the Iroquois or Haudenosaunee people do at powwows or at ceremony. And with social dance, the public often is invited to join in.
Isn't that wonderful?
It is wonderful. It's a really exciting and fun event.
Years ago, I went to the Potawatomi powwow that they had in Topeka area in Kansas, and it's just a delightful event that went on for like days.
Oh, it goes on for days, and it's almost like a family has come back together. Yeah. And like a family reunion, and anyone who joins in is part of the family.
Yeah.
So
when is this event? We really didn't mention that. We showed the pictures and we talked about it, but when is it? And is it? You said it's family friendly, obviously.
Absolutely.
Bring the kids.
Yes, because again, we have space. We have lawns. We have gardens. People can, children can run around. They can have food, and they can relax and spend the entire day there. The festival is August 30th and 31st.
Okay.
And that would be from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
So it's 2 days.
It's 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, and everything is included with admission, which is $10 for an adult and $5 for children.
Is that each day, or is it
each day?
Okay.
But children under 5 are free.
Okay. But it's, you know, one of the things that I celebrate about these events is that if you bring your kids, they're learning a lot about life in general and people in general. We sometimes get in a real myopic state, you know, we only look at this piece, but there's so much out there, and believe me, this is their land.
Well, you know, as you mentioned earlier, when you were in school, you learned about the Haudenosaunee people, and in fact, their history is our history.
Exactly.
And very often that is overlooked, and many people don't even know that the Haudenosaunee people are still here in the Northeast.
Right.
They think all Native people are out in the Southwest. And in fact, this
is a lot in the East Coast, Connecticut and Massachusetts,
yes.
and I mean, there's a lot of Native Americans, and I just hope that they don't lose their culture. I mean, they need to integrate somewhat, but you don't want to lose your culture. Whether we're going to have the Polish on, and we talk about, salvaging and keeping our culture.
Well, the Iroquois people, I have to say, are amongst some of the Native people who have really held on to traditions. There are efforts to continue to save and teach their children their native languages and keep their culture, whether it's traditions of basket making, again, language, dance, and so I don't think there's any worry about it. The Haudenosaunee people know what they're doing.
I have to ask you this, because many of the Native American languages are not written. Are they oral, or are they written at all?
Many of them have been handed down orally, but there again is an effort to translate them into written language. In fact, Syracuse University has just begun a certificate program in Iroquois languages.
Oh, wonderful.
And there are efforts, especially amongst the Mohawk, to translate into a kind of a standard written language.
And, you know, we're talking about the Iroquois, but, you know, one of the things we want to, talk about, maybe just a little smidgen of how important that the Native Americans were, especially during World War II, is the Navajos used the Navajo code, and no one could break that. I mean, the Germans, the Japanese, they all tried to break that, but they were using the Navajo.
It's true. The last code talker just actually died this past spring.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't realize, again, about this joint history. Many people in New York might be surprised to know that a group of iron workers named the Skywalker'S built New York City. They built
I saw the pictures.
Yes, they built the World Trade Center, the Empire State Building. They were there when the World Trade Center came down in order to help salvage, and they're there right now rebuilding. So. Yeah. Again, it's just one of those things where we've forgotten a people in some ways, and we need to know that they're here.
We need to remind you, and that's
vibrant.
why you're watching the show, because you're being reminded of a culture that is integrated into our country. And believe me, they were here before us, so let's show them some
respect. And honor. Yes,
exactly. Maria, it's such a delight to meet you.
Well, thank you for having us.
Show. And I hope that you have a packed, well, you won't have a packed house, you got too much room.
Yes, we'll pack it up.
Pack it up.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.